Hi, my name is Anna and I'm a pediatric medical social worker. Back by popular demand, this video is going to walk you through different things that I did this week, all the way Monday to Friday. I feel like whenever you talk to social workers, you'll always hear someone be like, no day is ever the same. No week is ever the same. And I definitely feel like that is true. So I think it's fun to do these little snapshots into the week to just kind of give you a better picture of like what actually goes on, especially if you are interested in social work or interested specifically in getting into medical social work or pediatric medical social work. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment and let me know, because that lets me know to make more just like this. And I would love if you would subscribe to join me through all aspects of life that I post on this channel. Let's get into the week. Monday morning started as most Monday mornings do, where I do a super long chart review to get to know any new families that came in over the weekend and also get to see what happened with my patients who stayed over the weekend, if there's any changes in clinical status or any progression towards discharge. I really feel like when I come in on a Monday, my head is just not quite straight until I sit down and do this big long chart review to get up to speed. This is going to be repetitive and it isn't every video, but I attend ICU rounds every single day. They are daily in the intensive care unit. Things can change so much day to day, and attending these rounds helps me get a good picture of if there's anything that I need to prioritize in the day in the ICU, and it keeps me up to date because, like I said, things change so quickly in intensive care. I spent most of my Monday, thankfully, I got the time to just do laps around the unit and get to see which new families were here, and so I could introduce myself and my services to them, just put a name to a face, and also let them know of my availability and that I exist and I'm there to support them. On Tuesday, I attended a committee meeting, a committee that I sit on that's a partnership between the hospital and a foundation that provides mental health support for families that are impacted with specific diagnoses at the hospital. There are members of each different discipline on this committee, and we sit and have partnership meetings once a month so that we can get updates on the actual numbers and how many families are getting served by this service. And then we're also able to discuss ways that it could possibly be improved, ways that workflow or efficiency could be improved, or there's anything we can do on our end to better get families connected with the service, if there's anything they can do better on their end to help get families connected with the service. They're usually pretty quick, but it is fun to be on a committee making change. I also spent Tuesday providing meal assistance to families who need it. Depending on donations to the hospital, there are various different like snack bags that are sometimes available for families, or money off of meals that can be available for families. I wish that every parent and every caregiver and every family member could just eat for free at a hospital. I mean, nobody chooses to want to be at a hospital, but unfortunately we are not there yet. So we do try to assess when that is a barrier for a family and provide assistance when assistance is available. Tuesday, I also spent some time helping a family advocate for their care. There were just some things that the family wanted their voice to be supported in, concerns that they had. Sometimes when families have concerns about care, it can always be beneficial to educate, because sometimes there's a miscommunication or a misunderstanding that may be happening. Or also in children's hospitals, families know their child best, and so doctors know the medical side, families know their child, and there's a meeting in the middle that results in really great care for that kid. And so part of my role is helping families advocate for themselves and for their child and support them in doing that, because it can be hard to speak up, especially when you're in such a hard place. You'll never guess it, but on Wednesday, I attended ICU rounds again. And then Wednesday was a big transportation day for me. I helped schedule transportation rides home for 3 different patients who were ready for discharge. And then one of them, I also helped schedule a ride back to the hospital next month for a surgery that they're having. I've mentioned this before, but with Medicaid, I think it's the same in all states, but I'm in Georgia, so I know Georgia. People with Medicaid are eligible for non-emergency medical transportation, meaning for scheduled appointments, they can schedule transportation, or also whenever they discharge home from the hospital, they can get a same-day ride home, which is great, and it sounds great. And also based on the distance and based on how rural an area is where a patient lives, sometimes drivers are not always assigned or show up very timely, and sometimes a day can get consumed by, we'll say, advocating. We'll use advocating again for a patient to get that timely ride. As the system is supposed to work, it just doesn't always work in practice. So having 3 different patients going various different distance away took up a a lot of the day. I also on Wednesday got to meet a new family who was not new, but was new to the unit. Sometimes we get transfers from the NICU onto my unit, and so I always try to meet those families quickly just because even if you've been in the hospital for so long, going from unit to unit is so different. You get to know all different staff, all of your familiar faces are gone. The daily routine of different units is so different, and so it can be a smooth transition, but I always find that it's helpful to just help families with that transition whenever they arrive somewhere new. On Thursday, I actually attended 2 rounds. As you know, the intensive care unit rounds are every single day, but I also cover an acute care unit, and those rounds are just once a week. Those rounds are mostly focused on progress and steps towards discharge and what remaining steps are left before discharge. So on this call are the doctors, are the PAs, are the nurse practitioners, the fellows, the residents, nurse case managers, nutrition, psychology, child life, patient teaching coordinators. It's really just like a snippet of everybody who is possibly involved in discharge planning, because then if there are any barriers or anything that's going to slow down discharge once a child is medically ready to discharge, it can be discussed and it can be planned for and kind of be proactively addressed to the best that people can on these rounds. They can be really helpful. Sometimes I'm not needed at all. I just get to sit and listen in and learn, which is great. Sometimes I can help provide clarity on psychosocial situations. Sometimes it's good to voice what I'm doing just so that people can hear and know what I'm doing in the background. Even if I know that I'm doing it, it can be helpful sometimes for people to know that something's being taken care of too. So these rounds can also be a good time just to discuss anything that needs to be discussed. On Thursday, I also had a care conference. This is whenever families sit down with doctors. Sometimes they're held routinely, sometimes they're held because the family asks for one. And it's a time for doctors and family to discuss the more like longitudinal details of their child's care. So kind of like what's happened up to this point, where are we at now, and where are we going in the future, which can be really helpful because families often get daily updates about day-to-day changes, and it can be nice to put all of those together and really get a longitudinal look at the plan of care, and also gives a family a time to sit down with a doctor at their disposal to answer all of the questions that they may have, or also provides a safe space to bring up if there are any concerns or any clarifications that are needed. It can be a really great time to do that too. So today actually lasted an hour and 45 minutes, which is much longer than they usually do, but also is just because there was enough content to cover an hour and 45 minutes. And it is also me who writes documentation for those, and so the rest of my time I feel like with those, because I document like everything that's talked about, the questions that are asked, the answers, everything, I swear sometimes it takes me just as long to actually write the note as the care conference was. This one, it did not take a full hour and 45 minutes, but it probably took me at least an hour to write this note. So that was a very big portion of my day on Thursday. We made it to Friday. Took us long enough. I had another care conference on Friday. I really just ended my week with them. This one lasted an hour, and it really just was kind of cookie cutter, discussing where we're at now, and what's coming in the future. And then also gives parents a chance to understand and like hear the decisions and thought processes, if there's any decisions to be made in a child's care. Like, oh, maybe we're doing this surgery, but it could actually be this surgery. Or like, maybe we're doing surgery at this time, but maybe it actually could be this time. Sometimes whenever it's just short conversations that discuss those really big things, you can't fully understand all of the like bullet points and risks and benefit analysis that go into decisions like that. And so that's another perk of families being able to sit down with doctors and to really like understand what is going on with their child. I also met with a family to provide information about Social Security income / disability income before they were discharging. So that was exciting because we also got to like celebrate the discharge in that interaction as well. It's become really rewarding for me to learn as much as I can about different resources and how they work and how families can get them if they qualify for them, because a family is learning enough as they're in the hospital and cannot be an expert on every single resource that is possibly available to them. And so I think it is very rewarding for me to be able to provide information as they need it. This happened again on Friday with helping a family sort out insurance prior to a possible end-of-life situation, because that is the last thing that you want to sort out after that occurs. I ended my Friday afternoon collaborating with other family support disciplines to provide holistic support to the families on our unit, and then also I wrote a little handoff to evening and weekend social workers who cover whenever I am not there after Friday afternoon hits, to kind of give them a heads up on any things that may come up that may need to be addressed over the weekend, just so that they don't get hit with a consult not knowing anything about it. So I wrapped up my week duties, provided context to the evening and weekend people in case any of my week duties bled over into their weekend and overnight duties. Took a few deep breaths and pat myself on the back for making it to a Friday, and that was the end of the week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Leave them in the comments down below. I love you. I appreciate you so much. So many great things are coming your way, and I'll see you next time.